obviously a little bit different video than today. We are going to be on the track. I'm adding in one track session a week right now, probably for the next 4 to 6 weeks. And then I will add a second session in. As the one session is gonna be, it's gonna be acceleration focused. So gonna work on a lot of sled stuff, a lot of short sprints, just fast bursts, things that I think accelerate strength when training in the gym, build power. This is something that a lot of people should think about adding into their routines, especially if you feel like you've gotten to the point that you hit like a plateau and you just can't get any stronger, or you're starting to feel sluggish or slower in the gym. I think getting out, doing some sort of resisted sprints, whether you have a sled or not, you could fight a hill, do some hill sprints. If you don't have that, you could just do some wind sprints and sprints on a flat surface. But this is one thing I like to call like a plateau buster. I'm not adding it in for that reason. I've recently been getting the feeling that I'm spending too much time in the gym and I just don't feel that I'm being athletic and moving around, and that's what brings me the most joy when training. So I'm adding in these track sessions just to get out of the gym, still get some stimulus, do things that's fast and explosive that can help me with other things that I'm doing in the gym, and have a little bit more fun with training. So that's kind of the setup for today. My warm-up is done. I went through a little bit of mobility. I went to some warm-up drills, did a little bit of like easy plyos, just bouncing and hopping off the ground, just to kind of warm the lower leg up, get things feeling nice and springy. Then I go into my sled work. First thing I did with the sleds that I always like to do is get a really heavy sled. So right now I think I've got about 70 kilos on the sled, and I like to do just 20 meters of like a fast march. So I'm not trying to sprint, I'm just really trying to push into the ground hard and move forward for 20 meters. So I'll do anywhere between 2 to 5 repetitions on that. And now I'm gonna get into the sled work. So I'm gonna bring the sled down to about 50 kilos and do a bunch of sets of 5, just working on that first 5 meters, being explosive and powerful. After I do about 4 sets of that, I'm gonna go into some just 10-meter accelerations with no sled. So try to use that feeling of that first hard 5 from the sled, bring it into a 10-meter acceleration, and then I'm gonna repeat that. I'll put about 40 kilos on the sled, do some 10 meters, and then I'll finish off with some more 10-meter sprints. So that's gonna be the session for today. And now we're gonna get into our first sets of 5. Alright, so short sleds are done, 4 sets of 5. You don't need a lot of rest in between those. I would say at most you could do like a minute, but I'll burst for that 5, turn the sled around, rest about 30 seconds, do my next set right after that. It doesn't take a lot out to just do a short, heavy 5, and you don't want to lose that fast, strong feeling. So shorter rest on those, and then take about a 2 to 3 minute break before you do your first 10. I'm probably gonna do 3 to 4 reps on just 10 meters acceleration, and then we're gonna go back to the sled and do some more reps at 10 meters with the sled. So that's the next part here. One thing I would recommend doing, if you are thinking about adding sleds or doing some sort of sprint work into your sessions and you're not well adapted to that kind of training, is start short and then over the weeks progressively get yourself to longer and longer distances. So I haven't sprinted in about a year since I retired from bobsled. This is my second sprint session. I added in sprints last week. So I'm starting with like really heavy 5s, and I'll probably do that for 2 to 3 weeks. And then I'm gonna go to heavy 10s and 15s for about 2 to 3 weeks. And I'm gonna slowly build that up to about 20 to 30 meters with the sled. As the distances increase on the sled, I'm gonna be taking more and more weight off of the sled. So the overload is going to be speed when we're training with sprinting. So think of it as like, if you're training for your back squat in the gym, you're overloading by progressively adding more weight to that to try to get stronger. When you're doing something with speed and track, you want to start off at slower speeds with high intent. So usually you're gonna start off with heavier weights, something that's gonna force you to move in a slower and safer speed. So I can't go really fast on these 5s the same way I could if I was just gonna be going all out for a 5-meter sprint. And then as you get more stimulus and more adapted to that, you take weight off, and it's gonna allow you to move a little bit faster. And then you take some more weight off and you move faster and faster and faster. That's how I like to progress my accelerations and my sprinting. I don't like to just go out and just go hard day one. I like to start off really short, high intent, focus on being strong and powerful, and then gradually build that over distances while lowering the weight on the sled, so it allows you to get faster over longer distances. And that's kind of the plan. So this is gonna be like a 12 to 20 week cycle that I'm on right now, just depending on how things are feeling. But yeah, so it's been about 2-3 minutes. I don't know why I looked at my wrist, I don't have a watch on. But it's been about 2-3 minutes. So we're gonna do a few 10s. For the 10-meter sprints, I would recommend resting 60 to 90 seconds in between. 10 meters isn't that fatiguing. The general rule is like 1 minute per 10 meters. So if you were to do a 30-meter sprint, you would take 3 minutes off. If you were to do a 20-meter sprint, you would take 2 minutes off. So 60 to 90 seconds in between each of these, and then we're gonna go back to the sled. All right, so that's the session for today, nice and easy. I'm gonna go do some weightlifting later today. This is my deload week, so it's just light, move things fast, feel good throughout the week. And then next week, I'm gonna start a new block. Plan is I'm gonna do a weightlifting competition at the end of September. That's gonna be my last weightlifting competition that I have planned. After that, I'm gonna kind of switch gears, go back into a lot more sprinting and jumping and that kind of training, and possibly do an indoor meet sometime early in the season next year. So like January, February here in Iceland. Try to do like a 60-meter, and then also possibly compete in the long jump as well. Obviously, plans change all the time. The original plan was to try to qualify for Worlds. I'm not gonna get my citizenship for Iceland in time, so I'm not gonna be able to qualify for Worlds. So I'm gonna do one final meet, because I've been training to do a meet for a while, so I kinda wanna get it in and throw up some big numbers. So that's what that meet in September is gonna do. And then from there, kind of switch gears, find a new avenue to train, and figure out some new goals and compete in something else. So if you're interested in setting up some sort of sprinting and plyometrics into your routine and you don't know where to look, I do have a program called the Unit Sprint Jump Program. The link is in my Instagram bio. And that program is set up very similar to what I did today. So you're gonna have a day of like a lot of sprints with sleds, a lot of short accelerations, some med ball tosses, things that are gonna be really explosive and powerful. We've got days in the weight room where you're gonna be doing more jumps, more loaded jumps, power cleans, different types of explosive movements, and then kind of go back and forth. It's a 12-week program. I've had a lot of success implementing some of those things from that program into my clients' programs, and I've seen them break through plateaus and just have a lot more fun in their training by adding in new stimulus that they're not used to doing. So that's kind of the focus of that sprint jump program, is to get away from doing what you've been normally doing, spend a few cycles doing some sort of really fast explosive movements, and then you should see that transfer over into your weightlifting, your powerlifting, your general strength training, whatever it is you're doing. Things should feel like they're moving a lot easier, and you might even hit some new PBs by doing that. So appreciate you guys watching the video. Look out for the next one. It'll be out eventually. I keep saying once a week, but schedule and life gets in the way, so they come out periodically random.